I'd like to speak about a mitzvah saseh d'oraisa that we mention twice a day, but often we feel very uncomfortable or disingenuine when trying to fulfill this mitzvah. The mitzvah I'm referring to is v'dibarta bam, of speaking in words of Torah. It is a mitzvah saseh, we mention it every day in the Shema, to speak in the words of Torah, and yet sometimes it's uncomfortable for us when we're walking with a friend to bring up words of Torah, rather than talking about the news or the weather or anything else that's going on in life. The idea of speaking in words of Torah, we see already from the brothers of Yosef, when Yosef sends them off from Mitzrayim to go back up to Yaakov and tell them that Yosef is alive in Mitzrayim. He tells them, Al tirgizu b'darech, don't get too involved in learning be'iyun while you're traveling on the way. Could you imagine, after such news, Yosef is alive, and he's gonna save the whole family and bring them down to Mitzrayim with food and provisions, and they're gonna talk in learning? Absolutely. They might get so perturbed from their learning that it would delay their travels. So he tells them, be very careful. Why? Because this is how a Jew goes. He's speaking in words of Torah while he's traveling. I remember many years ago walking from my home to shul, and almost weekly on my way to shul on Shabbos morning, meeting up with a neighbor. We didn't have much of a relationship before I had moved to town, and because we were on the same route on the way to shul each week, so we would share Divrei Torah, and we built a very beautiful relationship, ultimately a charusa, and our families became very close. And relationships which can be built on words of Torah are relationships which are really pinning down the greatest potential of each of the partners as human beings. Our greatest opportunity to connect to Hashem is through His words of Torah, through sharing His wisdom with one another. And when we salvage our conversations to be focused on v'dibarta bam, on words of Torah, on words of chizuk, on words of ruchnius, so then our conversations become vehicles not only towards good bein adam l'chavero, but towards great bein adam l'makom as well. And therefore, the mitzvah of v'dibarta bam is an opportunity for us to not only grow in our own learning, but also to build other Jews as well. We know that the Gemara in Maseches Makos tells us, the Arshan's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, v'cherev el habadim, that Talmidei Chachamim who learn by themselves, they keep their Torah to themselves, so the Gemara learns out that it's as though they deserve a sword on their necks, because the Torah is meant to be shared. And so therefore, we should not feel uncomfortable or disingenuine in bringing up, hey, you want to listen to a vort? Hey, can I tell you something I learned today? But rather feel very comfortable sharing Torah. This is the language of the Jewish people. The language of the Jewish people is always talking in spirituality, in ruchnius, and we should continue to build one another as we do this. Chafetz Chaim tells us also that a person who's speaking Lashon Hara, aside from all the other various averos that he does in speaking Lashon Hara, he is also over on the mitzvah aseh of v'dibarta bam. Hashem gave us the power of speech in order to promote life as a vehicle towards avodas Hashem, to use speech in order to say positive things as a way of learning Torah. A person who uses speech for Lashon Hara instead is perverting that great gift that Hashem gave him, and should try to focus more on the ultimate purpose of what being a medaber is all about, being at the peak, at the highest level of creation, as an obligation towards, as an opportunity towards sanctifying our speech for holiness, for getting close to Hashem. Have a wonderful day.